Hi, I'm Alex Howard and welcome to this short video. And in this video I wanted just to touch on a little bit something which can be a really substantial part of the recovery path for many people, and that's the contact they have with friends and family. When we're suffering from a severe chronic illness of which one of the primary symptoms is fatigue, having help and having support is a hugely important factor. And there are kind of two sides to this I really wanted to look at. One of which is when we have that support, it makes a huge difference. It means that, for example, we can focus less on the day-to-day tasks of shopping, preparing food or whatever else, and use the little bits of energy that we've got to actually do things that we enjoy to do, which then helps in terms of calming our system down, helps in terms of our general mood. Also, having help and support from friends and family can often mean that we can more easily access treatments, that we can get to appointments, that just generally we can follow nutritional programs. There's just so many ways that friends and family can help. That can be hugely challenging, especially if we've been used to being the one always helping other people, or we've got used to being in a kind of achiever pattern where I'm totally fine, I'm kind of self-sufficient, I look after myself. So I wanted to point out how important that support can be, but I also wanted to look at the other side of it, which is how challenging sometimes it can be to get that support. And one of the reasons why that can be so challenging is that there are so many cultural perceptions around ME, chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, that we're so used to living in a society that if you have an illness, you go to the doctor, you get a diagnosis, you get a treatment plan, people understand what it is, and you just kind of get on with it. So for example, you break your leg, for example, and you go and you get it set, or people can see it's broken, they say you must rest, and they get things for you, you get crutches and everything else. But when you have an illness like ME, chronic fatigue, of course, one of the challenges is that it's a diagnosis of exclusion. There's no biomarker, there's no blood test that you can do. And part of what this has resulted in is, as I'm sure you'll be very familiar with, is a lot of cultural perceptions around ME, chronic fatigue. And it's often very difficult for those that are around us to understand how best to support us, or even to be able to really understand the lived experience in terms of what's going on. Something that I've heard people say so many times is that their friends and family think they're depressed rather than having an illness like chronic fatigue. And I did a previous video exploring what's the difference between ME, chronic fatigue and depression. But what I really wanted to say here is it's really worth spending some time actively educating friends and family. Trying to get them to watch videos like this, for example, trying to get them to watch, for example, some of the Secrets to Recovery live interviews. Actually hearing people talk about what it's like to live with ME, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. Many people have said to me that having their friends, family read my book or other books similar about people's recovery stories has also been immensely helpful. That it's very easy as the patient, when we're living with the experience, to forget that it can be challenging for those around us to understand it. So actively educating people, actively helping them to understand, so you can enlist their support, can make a huge difference for you, and explaining very practically what people can do to help you. Because one of the things that also can be very challenging for people is they can see that someone's suffering and they want to help, and they want to have something to, especially men, want something to do to help. So the more you can kind of coach people how to support you and how to help you, the more of a difference that can make. Because as I started off saying, it makes a massive difference having the right support around us. But as I say, we need to help people understand what it's actually like, what it feels like. We can talk about our own experience, but also sharing other people's experiences through videos and books and that kind of thing. It's a super helpful way of doing that. And if people that are friends and family are watching this, one of the things that I always say is that living with ME, chronic fatigue, is a different kind, especially the fatigue symptom, is a different kind of tiredness to the kind of tiredness that most people live with. The kind of tiredness most of us would experience is we haven't slept for a few nights and we just feel tired and all we want to do is sleep. But we know at the end of that sleep, we feel completely refreshed. If you imagine feeling so tired that when you sleep, you wake up and you feel no different, It's a very different experience. And that's just one perspective to have on it. So anyway, if you're watching this and you suffer from ME chronic fatigue, please do the best you can to educate, communicate, enlist the support. It can make a massive difference on the recovery path.